Hello, welcome to Crafting with Lee. Today I'm going to make this simple multicolored wreath. These are the supplies I'm going to use to make this wreath. I don't use the wooden flowers, they were too big for this particular wreath. I'm using 9 different ribbons. I'm going to start by adding pipe cleaners to my 14-inch wire wreath frame. I'm going to add 1 to each crossbar on the center, and for the outside ones, I pick a crossbar to start at, and then I lay it along the wreath, and I add 1 where that one ends. And I end up with 14. And if you do it correctly, your last one should line up pretty close to where your first pipe cleaner was. And I'm twisting 3 times pretty tightly so that it won't move. I'm using 10-inch white mesh it's got like iridescent threads in it. And I'm going to start by trimming the end just to make it smooth since I'm doing ruffles. I decided to cut these at 20 inches. I don't want this wreath to be super poofy. So I cut 14 20-inch pieces of mesh. And I'm just going to lay something heavy on it just to help me out. And I like to roll the beginning of my ruffle just because it keeps the fraying down. I just like the way it looks. You don't have to do that. You can just start the ruffle flat. And then I stop about an inch before the end and it just kind of naturally curls under. And then after I add 1, I like to fluff each section apart. This mesh is perfect for this kind of wreath because it's really sturdy and it holds its shape really well. Sometimes mesh can be kind of soft, but this mesh is not like that at all. It will hurt your hands though, so keep that in mind if you have trouble with your hands. Alright, and I'm going to go around and add 1 into each pipe cleaner. And then I'm going to start cutting my ribbons. I decided to do 9 ribbons because they went with the sign. And because you use less of each ribbon when you use more. And I wanted to save some of those particular colors, but I really liked the way they looked with the sign. You could easily use, just 2 kinds of ribbon, 1 kind of ribbon, as many as you want. Alright, I'm going to start by cutting my ribbon at 12 inches. And I'm just adding my ruler inside of it, and I'm just going to hold it and twist. You don't have to use a ruler. You can use a piece of cardboard, a sign, a piece of wood, anything. They actually make things you can buy. I think they're called perfect tails. And once I'm done with my ribbon, I like to add a needle to hold it in place. You can't really see the hole, and it keeps it from unraveling. And now I'm just going to stick my scissors through and cut on each side, and I end up with 12-inch pieces of ribbon. And I'm going to do this with all 9 ribbons. I dovetailed the ends of the ribbon just because it gives it a really nice finished look. I really like the way it looks when they're all together. I decided to put 3 kinds of ribbon in each section, and I went through and picked which ribbons I wanted with each other and went ahead and stacked them together just because it makes it a lot easier when you're adding. And then you just fold your ribbon in half, and once you find the crease, you pinch it together. And I'm not opening my ties, I'm just setting the ribbon on top, and I'm going to twist it 3 times. And then I'm just going to use my glue stick to roll it down. And then I'm just going to fluff out my ribbon. And when you have 3 ribbons, you can't really make the X. So I just make them opposite each other the best I can. Alright, I added ribbon to every pipe cleaner section. This is the last one. And when I do the outside ribbons, when I'm fluffing them, I don't push them up towards the center. I keep them out on the outside That way the ribbon is evenly distributed through the wreath and they're not overlapping each other a lot. You can see I had extra ribbon. I accidentally cut too many. And I'll just add those back to the spool of ribbon on my shelf and use it later. So I'm going to add pipe cleaners with staples to the back of the sign so I can add it to my wreath. I decided to do 3 just because this sign is larger and it's heavier than normal signs. And I usually put 2 staples in each pipe cleaner and then I twist it 3 times. And I'm going to add this string from the sign in it so you can't see it from the front. I like to keep the existing hanging devices for signs when they're more expensive, just because if someone in the future decides they want to take the wreath apart, they still have a pretty sign. But you can definitely remove that if you don't want to keep it on there. And you can also add 2 ties to the bottom. I just felt like I needed 1 just to keep it anchored on the bottom. I decided I want to put it right in the middle of my wreath. But before I add it, I want to go through and move the ribbons out of the center, just because I don't want them to get lost once I add the sign. Alright, you can see that I had a nice hole there with a lot less ribbon than what was there before. And then to add my sign, I just feed my pipe cleaners through to the back. And I like to loosely add the pipe cleaners at first until I figure out exactly where I want my sign to go. And then once I see where it's at, I like to shake it to make sure it's not going to go anywhere. Make sure that they're even on the sides as far as pulling them down. Sometimes one side will hang further than the other. Sometimes some are pulled back further than others. And then I just go through and I fluff more of my ribbon, make sure my mesh looks good. I really like this wreath. I think it turned out really well. And it's really thin, so it'll fit perfectly behind a screen door. Alright, that's it. That's how I made my super easy, lots of color wreath. Thank you so much for watching. And if you like my video, please like, share, and subscribe. Thank you.